Welcome to this talk about the Apache Beam community. So we are going to see what resources are available in the Apache Beam website and in other places to get integrated into the community, to learn more about Apache Beam, to contribute to Apache Beam. So the first resource that we can use is the website itself. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to open the website. So we're going to go a little bit around the website. This may look like a little bit silly. Let me just put a little bit more soon so you can read it. But it's actually very important. I go to the Beam website every day when I'm working with Apache Beam pipelines. In my opinion, the main resource that you have is here, the programming guide. So you see here at the top, you have like different sections in documentation in general. Here you have the Beam programming guide. This is a must read for anyone writing Apache Beam pipelines. The programming guide has examples in Java, in Python, in Go, and SDK. For instance, here I'm switching to Python. If I have to, I don't know about the schemas, I will see, for instance, here some examples of how to use schemas in Python. So the full programming guide is strongly recommended to read. It's a must read if you're working with Apache Beam. Another of my favorite sections in the Apache Beam website, if I can go to the top again, is the blog. So on the blog here, so in the blog, you normally get news about when a new release is done, but there are every once in a while there are very interesting articles about how Beam is used in different scenarios. For instance, about how to use it as the engine for a content discovery platform using generative AI. So there's a very recent article about this, super interesting. And I strongly recommend you to be subscribed to the blog and to have a look whenever there are new articles. And we will see later on how to contribute to Apache Beam, that you can also contribute your writings to the blog. It's just another pull request that you could do to the repository. So let's have a look at the community resources. This is important if you are searching for help. So what community resources do we have? So the contribution pathway, we will review it later. So here in the list of channels, so the most important are the mailing list, the user and the developer mailing list. I recommend you to subscribe to this list if you want to be up to date to what's happening with Apache Beam. There's a little bit of traffic, but it's always interesting stuff. Remember also that there is a Twitter account that tweets normally the most interesting stuff happening in Apache Beam, and a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, let me open it here on the left. So this is on the right, sorry, not on the left. This is the YouTube channel of Apache Beam. There's also a YouTube channel for the Beam College. Okay, so I mean, you're here, so you probably already know that, but don't miss the Apache Beam channel, because there are lots of very interesting playlists. Like, for instance, it's one of the Beam Summits editions with the really interesting talks. I strongly encourage you to have a look at the different videos in the YouTube channel. Okay, so far I have focused on people who have already some experience with Apache Beam, reading the programming guide, the blog, whatever. If you're new to Apache Beam, so how did you start? We're going to have a session later focused on learning, but let me make a quick preview of what's available here to start doing your first steps with Apache Beam. So here you have the Get Started page, and you find lots of very interesting things. The Tour of Beam. So we will see it more in detail later. The Tour of Beam is a set of exercises in different languages that you can use to learn how Apache Beam works, like to learn the API and so on. And you can run the examples live here in the platform. More on this later. There is also the Beam Playground. Okay, so the difference, it's similar to the Tour of Beam. It's a platform that you can use to run your Apache Beam code. The Tour of Beam is more focused in a set of exercises to follow an itinerary to learn about Apache Beam. The Beam playground is literally this, a playground where you can run anything. Let me just run this, okay? So to see, well, so let me see if this runs. Okay, so for instance, we get some metrics here. We can try to change the code a little bit here. Like for instance, this, instead of, no, not reading here, instead of writing to test, let's do something like, I don't know, bean.map print. Okay, so you can change any code and run it again. And now the output should be slightly different, hopefully, if I did it correctly. Okay. See, here is some of the words that are in the output. And you also get this illustration of the graph of the job. What can you run in the playground? Well, for instance, you could run some of the examples that you have here on the left side. You have the Java Quick Start, the Python Quick Start, and the Go Quick Start. These quick starts are really interesting because they are using one of the resources that I like the most of Apache Beam is these started projects. Okay, so whenever I have to start a new pipeline in Java, in Python, in wherever, I always have to repeat the same steps, make the same imports, import the same dependencies, and so on. So here you have already like a scaffold to write your Apache Beam pipeline, included some unit testing and so on. So it's really handy to start a new project. And the quick start is actually based now in these starter projects. And there are starter projects for Java, for Python, for Go, and for other languages. And then you have also the examples here, the word count, for instance, in Python, the example that we ran before, okay, and how to run it. You could also run it in the playground, but in case you want to run it locally, or if you want to run it in Dataflow or in Flink, okay, it's really, so you have all the details here. Another thing that I want to highlight here is the language-specific data, language-specific documentation, sorry. So for instance, whenever I'm working with the Python API, so sometimes I have to go here and consult the reference documentation of the API. Also, interesting stuff that you find here, for instance, this page about doing machine learning with Apache Beam. I think Apache Beam is becoming a standard for inference pipelines in streaming or in batch because it's really easy and a pleasure to do inference with the new run inference transform that is available in Apache Beam, and that works in a very efficient way, reusing the same model across different workers and so on. So, and you don't have to worry about anything like that. It's already done for you. And another thing that I like a lot is the data frames. Okay, so for instance, you have here some documentation about data frames, and you can also run it in Colab and so on. So have a look at this. And the last thing I wanted to mention, there is more documentation like the I/O connectors and everything. The last thing that I wanted to mention is this, the transfer catalog, okay, and the command Python. Almost the last thing, also the command line pipeline patterns. Let me go here. The reference documentation of Python, Java, is great. It has all the details that I need when I'm using the API. But sometimes, so you may miss having like a higher level picture of what can you do with Apache Beam. So here in the transform catalog, you have all the element-wise operations, like, I don't know, like a ML transform, for instance, okay? You have all the aggregations, I don't know, how to calculate the mean of a series of numbers, okay? And you have also here, for instance, an example in the playground. Let me run it. Let's see if it runs. Okay. Let me go down here. Okay, 2.5 is the average of these numbers, so it runs correctly. And the same for Java. Okay, so it's really handy. I don't know. Let's see the count here. See, another example in the playground, and you can just change it. Okay. If you want to do exactly different, so here we have 5 elements. It's a count, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's correct. Okay, and if we want to move to the playground to see the full example behind this code, because this is kind of like a snippet of a larger code base, so we can also open it here. Okay, so this is the full example with all the login and all that. Okay, so but here is like the most interesting part of the example. And finally, to finalize with this walkthrough through the Bing website, all the articles are really interesting, but one resource that I keep coming back very often is these common pipeline patterns. For instance, you get a new pipeline and you have to decide how to create the pipeline options. I never remember how to do that. I always forget it. But hopefully, I have here these examples. For instance, this is the way it's done in Java. This is the way it's done in Python. Okay, and then with a little bit of copy paste. So I normally I'm able just to recreate the options for my pipeline just using this pattern. And there are patterns for many different situations. And you can also contribute to these patterns as we will see now in a bit. So this was the walkthrough through the Bing website. Let me go back to the slides. Let's talk a little bit about contributing to Apache Beam. So in which ways can you contribute? In many different ways. Okay, so there is this page here, contribute, in the Bing website that contains a lot of details on how to contribute to the project. For instance, you can just participate and share ideas. Lots of people do this in the mailing list by providing issues or feature requests in GitHub or filing back if you find one, improving the documentation, or even writing a blog post. Okay, so if you want to make changes to the blog post or to the website, there's this contribution guide. It's generic for all the rep, I think. See, that includes all details. Okay, and if, for instance, you want to make sometimes a quick change in one of the webs, say that we have found a mistake in this web that we haven't, okay, but say we find one and we want to update this web, we can just click here in this button, and this the editing the website by anyone is really straightforward. Okay, so here you can do the changes that you need to do, and this will automatically create a pull request in the repo to contribute the change. So maintaining the website up to date is it's very straightforward. If you find minor amendments that you need to do in the website, because every page that you see in the website will have this edit button, and anyone is invited to change the website to improve the website if you see any kind of outdated information or inaccurate information or anything. So remember, the contribute page here with all the details on how to contribute, the edit button that anyone can use, because this will be a pull request that will be reviewed by another person. It will not be published right away in the website. Okay, and the contributing guide with all the details on how to contribute to Apache Beam, including how to set up your local development environment in order to run the code and to be able to do also code contributions. Okay, but all kinds of contributions are welcome: blogs, case studies, success stories, organizing meetups, and maintaining just the web up to date whenever you are browsing the web and editing it. Well, so I hope this walkthrough was clear and it was fruitful. And I thank you all for your attention. I hope that you keep contributing to Apache Beam through the tools that we have seen today here.